Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Trace Elements Radio, live today with, of course, Tracey, your hostess, and I'm joined by Chief Charles Twodog. So, Gully's gonna go, Twodog.
Okay, say go. How is everything on your side?
Everything's pretty good. You know what I would like to be talking to you about today? I'd like to talk about how they've just made a new cyborg computer chip. But we're not going to do that. I'd like to talk about how Canada has just signed the UN contract to say that we will actually do something about what's going on in Canada. And I realize people don't understand that we're witnessing climate change. People are still arguing whether or not we're having it, but I'm looking outside my window and seeing no snow, and it's December. But we're not going to talk about that either. We could talk about the three-eyed fish that people keep finding. No. Instead of what I'd like to talk about, we're going to talk about the murders going on in the United States. Again. People who don't know, Chief Charles Twodog and I have been partners online for quite a while now, a good 6 years, I think.
6-7 years now.
Yeah. So when the Boston ridiculousness happened, you and I stayed, and I found a CB radio station thing that was being broadcast online, and I played it for everyone. We sat there and played it, and then went off playing that, and then started talking to each other. Now, in that scenario, they locked down 7 cities.
Martial law. It
actually happened. That happened. No one did anything other than stay in the house and do what they were told, when you could have heard it anywhere, showing that old men were getting beat up by the cops, little kids were getting smacked and thrown in the house.
Yes.
Go ahead, Twodog.
Basically, what people in around Massachusetts and Boston actually said that if they throw martial law here, we will fight. It didn't happen.
It didn't
basically
happen.
Not.
Exactly. So last week, within the last 2 weeks, and I've talked, and you and I have talked several times, and I realize some of the stuff I say could be out there, because I could do a 4-hour show today just on the weird numbers that are repeating. I'm not going to do that either. Maybe Thursday. We'll see. But this is what I would like to remind people of. This story, this drill, this San Bernardino, fake or not, this story has morphed, changed, trooper transformed right in front of our eyes. And it's all over the map as they're adjusting and changing it. Sometimes 2 or 3 times in the same day. So I found a photo that proves the current story is a lie. I also found a photo of the lady in question and her husband, who are not Muslim but Hindi, and at their marriage wore an absolutely beautiful, she wore one of those saris with the silk and the little thing. She looked gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Now, it was funny, I was talking to Twodog in the last couple days about this. The one thing, and we'll go into the stories that we've heard, but the one thing that really stood out to me is, how they find the worst picture ever of the person and put it up. Always, right? Especially if they're brown, they find a picture where they're not going to school, they're not dressed up, they're not doing something miraculous. What they're doing is usually looking like they just walked out of a basement somewhere.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now, all of the pictures you'll see of this lady, please look at the pictures again, and I have quite a few on the site. If just type in San Bernardino, and you'll see her. Number one, this lady shapes her eyebrows. It won't look, probably not a big thing to most people, but I mean perfectly. There's not a hair out of place underneath her eyebrow line. It's actually perfect. It's how you're taught in cosmetology school to do eyebrows.
Right.
So that
Right.
it's tweezed from the inside eye corner out, shaped up at a specific angle around the pupil, right dead center. But now it's grown in. It looks like it hasn't been tweezed specifically because the stuff in between her eyebrows looks like it's grown for a week, maybe two. But underneath, still perfect. This is not a killer. This is a woman, unless she's like some super secret killer trained by MI6 or some crap. It's not. And you can tell whoever they found, they've probably somebody who wasn't thinking, perhaps, didn't think to change certain aspects of her face, because you're not going to get a woman who knows this kind of stuff maybe commenting. They maybe threw that headdress on her because you know that everything you see, and this is important, everything you see, especially from CNN, will change. It changes in front of your face, and nobody sees to talk about that part of it.
Let me go with what's going on right now.
Please.
Also, Tracey, to add with this, how'd I put this? We're going to go with Trump one time. And what he's asking for is America to absolutely ban Muslims, period. In other words, lock them up. Don't let them do nothing. If you're a Muslim but you're an American Muslim, lock you up. In other words, and complete Muslim ban.
Yes, and we're seeing more and more in Canada too of attacks against Muslim people. There's something I haven't gotten into. I was going to do it on Thursday, and I apologize again to everyone for not doing my show, but all the problems are fixed, and we're good. Skype sucks in a great big sucking way. I feel that I should share that with you, but there is something called, and it happens so often now it actually has a name. It's called stochastic terrorism. It's the use of mass media communications to incite random acts and random actors. Now, know that actors are people. It's, if you've ever seen the story, TV show that was on called Dolls, means that people will be triggered. Some will be what we think of as actors. Other will be random people who are so stupid they will just react. We are seeing certain acts of stupidity right now and random racism that never happened before. It's happening here too, and crap like that doesn't happen so much unless it's against Indians. Now, Twodog and I will be talking about that on Friday. So people are pushed by TV and papers specifically to carry out violent or terrorist acts that are statistically predictable, but individually unpredictable. Like, we know that these events are coming. The people that just do them make no sense. So in short, it's remote control murder, sometimes and usually by lone wolf, usually by the typical serial killer profile, white male between 18-55, childhood bedwetter, criminal escalation through and violence of animal torture, arson, increasing violence against women, then murder. Now I know this will sound shocking, but the wrinkles in the murders that have happened lately, vandalism against abortion clinics, this is a specific target. Specific targets going on. And the white male terrorism, there's rage going on, which I understand, and people say yes, men and women are angry. I brought my brother Twodog because I want to say something to you, a man that I love. You guys know that I love Twodog.
Oh, I love you too.
Thank you, sweetie. There is a study done about 10 years ago. Put men in one room, women in another. Asked both sides, who is afraid? Asked the men, what do you think the most scary thing about women are? They asked women, what do you think the most scary thing about men are? The men answered that women will laugh at us. The women answered that men will kill us.
Mm-hmm.
This is across the board. This is across color lines. This is everybody, regardless. Men mostly said we're going to laugh at them, and that's what is scary about strong, powerful women. Women are afraid we're going to die. Now, people are being pushed to do certain things right now. We hear so much about people who are fundamentalists and evangelical, how they are incited to murder. Except, if this is the case, at least 20 million people have been killed by the United States and Britain and, the band of boys going around since the Second World War. There's been a slaughter going on. This is not by Muslims.
No.
This is the world on fire right now. Now, let me just say one thing to Twodog and take it away.
Okay.
As we've been saying, and Twodog and I have been saying, I thought this was going to happen. There have been drills going on. We knew that Jade Helm was a certain drill to get people prepped for these events. I thought that the only way they can change it up, because it's too obvious now, would be a husband and wife team. Because you rarely get women doing these kind of things on their own. Like, I don't know if I've heard of a woman going into a school and just shooting it up or anything like that. If we're violent, it's usually at home. Now, because the name that they originally chose for the female shooter would cause political problems with Turkey, it changed, and all the key elements about the male shooters, which I thought that they said was a health inspector. who was present at a Christmas party for autistic or disabled children. Up until 20 minutes before the shooting are gone because the think tanks could not come up with a way a man in a suit would get mad and then conduct a well-coordinated attack in full combat gear with 2 other people 20 minutes later, unless the number of shooters was reduced to 2, and the other was his wife. So the original storyline, and this went on CNN, this is the original one, was that Saeed Farouk, a state health inspector, got mad at a party, stormed off, returned 20 minutes later with 2 other people, and shot up the place.
Yes, that's exactly what was said.
That was the first one.
I remember that report. I remember that report, and they also tried to state that the anger that Mr. Farouk actually had was over religious situation between 2 workers, from what I'm understanding too, which I'm not sure about that either. But I was also told too, watching a lot of this, because I'm on it, Tracy. I'm on it right now, by the fact.
Okay, good.
But what I was told by them, by the reporters also, that the shooting actually started by 3 white guys.
Heard that story too. 3 white men came
so
in
what's
this
that telling
place,
you?
and it's changed 3 times. Now, for some reason, the pictures I put up are gone. I can't open it now. But they also changed the woman's name 3 times. What her name was supposed to be changed. I'm going to work after the show to try to find this. But we go back. Let's go back here to the other things we heard. Now, it's like another day, another mass murder of innocents in the US of A. Yeah. That's what they're saying. 14 people were shot to death during a mass shooting December 2nd at the Inland Regional Center in the city of San Bernardino, California. And if I did a show on just the numbers involved with what I just said, it's on the page. I may do that. I may do that because it's like ridiculously obvious now. So it's about 100 kilometers east of Los Angeles. So another 21 people were wounded in what is the worst mass shooting since Sandy Hook massacre, December 2012, if you don't count what's happening in every other country. Okay? Now, this is another turkey shoot, and this is what I've got. At 11 a.m., local time there, last Wednesday, masked gunmen, initially reported as a team of 3, dressed head to toe in tactical gear, with vests.
Right.
With vests, I remember that.
I remember that.
Stuffed with ammunition magazines.
Right.
Entered one of the 3 main buildings on the site, made their way to the conference room where staff for the county's Department of Health were enjoying a Christmas office party. This we've heard many times too. Now, from the moment they opened fire, the shooting reportedly lasted 5 to 8 minutes, during which the gunmen said nothing, but fired 75 rounds into the group, unarmed civilians, with eyewitnesses saying that they paused and reloaded their weapons. So, the sight of heavily armed police officers swarming the regional center was apparently so familiar to employees that they initially thought they were witnessing another active shooter drill, which they've had there. So nobody freaked out at first. And this is reports from people who were sitting there. So, according to the LA Times, active shooter drills take place there every month or so, sometimes more.
Right.
I have a link to that in case people want to say, Tracey, you're making it up. I'm not making it up. So you can watch employees remark on how realistic this latest drill appears, completely oblivious to the fact that some of their colleagues nearby have actually been shot to death. Because you can hear them talking about it. They didn't think it was real. Now the perpetrators also left behind 3 pipe bombs rigged together that they were apparently intended to remote detonate, and they failed to explode. The gunman then reportedly left the center in an SUV, which I'm sure we saw last week.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, with blacked out windows. I specifically was talking to Twodog in the room going, SUV, blacked out windows, please. So one of the witnesses, Glenn Wilworth, who runs a business across the street, said that he saw such a vehicle, the only one in the parking lot, pull out very calmly, very slowly, and drive off. Another witness, Sally Adel-Maggi, an employee at the Inland Regional Center, described 3 gunmen dressed exactly the same to CBS News.
Yeah.
She is very clear about what she saw. 3 masked, tall, white, super buff, well-built men, dressed in identical military attire. Not street clothes, not a suit, not Muslim wraps. Military attire. We hear this over and over again. Vests stuffed with spare magazines. Carrying huge assault rifles. And this fits with the earliest media reports. Fox News said breaking. Reports of an active shooter in San Bernardino. Police looking for 3 white males dressed in military gear. At least 20 injured. This was December 2nd, 2:35 p.m. And with what other witnesses saw, you can see, I'm not going to play them, you can listen at your own time. But that was the end of the bloody drama. Until 4 hours later, something else happened. Now, allegedly, working on a tip they received about the regional center employee, Saeed Rizwan Farouk, 28, leaving the office party following an argument with a colleague, San Bernardino police staked out his residence in nearby Redland suburb, and as luck would have it, just as the police arrived at his home at about 3 p.m. to set up a watch, an SUV matching the description of the one that left the regional center approached the Farouk residence, then took off, and the police gave chase. Now, in the furious gun battle, apparently, that ensued during the police chase, the occupants of the moving, blacked-out SUV, which was rented in California but apparently had Utah licenses, which is odd. That's odd. Now, allegedly, discharged a similar quantity of rounds as they fired at the same as they fired at the regional center. Dozens of police units caught up, and some were riddled. The SUV with about
Yes.
380 bullets.
Yes.
The aftermath, but not the actual chase, was filmed by media helicopters. Media footage only picks up the scene after the SUV, shot up with windows blown in, doors open, has come to a halt. And the wide avenue is crawling with hundreds of police officers and other security personnel. There's a dead body, which they now say was Farouk's, laying across the street from the SUV, apparently bleeding from a head wound. Did he run? Is he magic? Because somehow he got into the SUV.
That's hard to even, considering where he was.
Well, at
But,
first,
Tracey, let's
okay.
go a little bit further with this, okay?
Okay.
Just for a second. Now, when all this went down,
yes,
there just so happened to be a SWAT team there doing maneuvers at the same time.
handy,
Very handy, isn't it?
very handy. Now, wait a minute. Let's talk about Farouk, okay? Now,
Okay.
bleeding from a head wound. I don't know if he ran from the SUV only to be shot. When? But the body, okay, his hands were bound at the beginning. And I have pictures. Definitely see that his hands were bound. He's lying right in front of his house, or a house, with his hands bound behind his back. Now, it's supposedly the body of an alleged gunman, handcuffed across the street from the black SUV on San Bernardino Avenue. Now, later photographs and video stills show what appears to be the body of a woman next to an SUV. So, apparently when you're dead, you're going to have a sex change. So, get ready for that. And I'm sorry, I'm not laughing that somebody's dead. I'm laughing at how things can change within 5 minutes.
Yes.
So next, it's a woman next to an SUV, along with other materials presumably taken from inside the vehicle, including what the police said were 1,600 rounds of ammunition.
Yes.
And the body...
Let me...
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, one of the lawyers came on
Yes.
and stated, they showed the pipe bombs. One of the lawyers came on and said, well, that's okay because the only thing he did was target practice. Which I'm going, with pipe bombs. Okay. What? The silliness continues to roll is what I'm trying to say, Trey.
Yes. Now, there's more. Because then the story changes completely. Now, that Saeed Farouk left with his wife the early morning, hadn't been seen all day until he showed up at the shooting. Okay, let me leave that part. So we've got the rounds of ammunition, we've got the body of a person alleged to be Tashfeen Malik, the wife, in an image that does not appear to match any of the eyewitness descriptions of the shooters. 3 large males, tactical gear. It also does not match the police description of Tashfeen Malik as a shooter in the Inland Regional Center, who is said to be wearing black tactical gear at a party. So she just went home and changed. So anyway, it can be clearly seen from the images that I put up there that the person was wearing either a short gray shirt or gray shorts. Hard to see. Now, the initial reports said there was a third person also in the SUV as pursued by police down the San Bernardino Avenue, that person was arrested. And I know you said that to me last week.
Mm-hmm.
That the police, and this was tweeted, by the way, 2 in the vehicle deceased after police involved in shooting. Third person in the vehicle has been detained.
Right.
Later, the report was updated to say that the third person was detained after being seen running from the scene where the pursuit ended. So one wonders, one is wondering a lot of things here at this point. Of course, whether this third person was driving the SUV with the couple inside it. In any event, the authorities later said this suspect was not connected to the SUV at all.
Well, here's my point also, Trace. If they did catch this individual,
yes,
nothing's been said about him. Nothing.
No further update on what happened to that guy.
No, none.
Because he's magic and he just appeared. So we have to meet Mr. and Mrs. Massacre a little bit.
Right.
I'm naming them. I don't care, I'm naming them. Okay, so they're telling us Saeed Farouk left with his wife in the early morning, not seen all day until he showed up to shoot. The police found them 4 hours after the shooting, shot them to death inside their black SUV, and both shooters were wearing combat-style clothing while shot by the police. Here's my problem.
Right.
I've got several. I found a key photo, apparently screen captured out of a video, and fixed the tone curve to see what was there. What I saw, what came out of the murk, proves that's a lie. A woman, a dead woman, is in high heels, a short skirt, a short blouse. There was no blood anywhere after being filled with bullets. So quick, hit Google, read the current version of the story, try to explain the way this woman is dressed, the lack of blood. Because there was also something else going on earlier that day. That's why everyone was so comfortable. Okay, so they will change the story as needed. So while the getting is good, you can find that story. That the San Bernardino makeup shooting after the Planned Parenthood attack failed. 2 shooters, now the only suspects, are dead, conveniently dead, and were shot to death by the police in the car. Now Muslim, a Muslim man and woman, husband and wife. So let's see if they morphed the story to 2 men rather than a man and woman, because now they already morphed the story from long rifles to handguns and assault rifles, and 3 shooters to 2, who arrived in 4 cars and apparently left in 1. Now I'm sure situational artificial intelligence has been assigned to comb the web for public opinion and script the storyline accordingly, which is why it keeps changing in often irrational ways. That the Muslim man was a former business tax exec for the state who had changed jobs and was now a health inspector for the state. So this storyline, we have at least one guy that may have needed to be gotten rid of. So this picture, this image, destroyed the Planned Parenthood shooter story, which proves that all that happened was the, abortionist staff ripped the doorway out of a wrecking bar. And I have details. I'm scraping up details on that hoax too, or whatever it turns out to be, because you never know. People probably died because they have no problem killing. Obviously, they have no problem killing. And it'd be better if we think all of this was a hoax and no one died. And then, us conspiracy theorists could just sit back and say nobody ever died. But I think they have no problem killing people. But anyway, they need to make up shooting after the last one was shredded by the hoaxsters themselves with a wrecking ball or bar.
I agree.
Now, hopefully, this new shooting was fake as a Planned Parenthood event, and no one actually died. But this new event, we have 14 dead, and this is a mega suspicious one because it happened at a government party at 10:59 a.m. a.m., and did not break any major news outlets until 3.5 hours later. RT said it happened at a golf course early on. Now, someone get on Craigslist for San Bernardino, go to gigs, and see if they hired anyone to stage this. Dig back a month or so that I can go to Craigslist, but it's time consuming to dig through, and I'm looking elsewhere. So, Jewish lie numbers are involved again. The shooting happened at a Christmas party with 600 people. I think December 2nd is a little early for that. But there was a video being shot from pretty much minute 1, 15 minutes after the shooting started. There were hundreds of ambulances on the scene. A tent set up to handle the shooting, complete with lawn chairs. In other words, that was probably a drill.
Well, let's go with the drill part, because
okay.
I did see this through via YouTube, for instance.
Okay.
On this whole situation.
Yes.
You got massive police cars lined up, fire trucks. You got empty gurneys, by the way, and officers just standing there with their hands in their pocket. And you got one woman lying on the ground with a smile on her face. She's smiling.
Yes. Yes.
There is no bodies nowhere.
Yes.
So it's weird.
Now, the shooters have now Islamic names, which works perfect for Trump's story about the dancing Muslims in 9/11.
Oh, yes, it's perfect.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. When we all know it was actually dancing Israelis. We know that. They admit it.
Yeah.
Now, Trump has gotten disgusting with this topic, as far as I can see. The center this happened at had so many active shooter drills lately that employees just thought it was another drill. That's what they said. There were no roadblocks set up, which is really strange if it was real. Local news channels were reporting live, at first way too fast, proving foreknowledge. Yet there was a delay in getting the news out. via larger channels, sometimes up to 7 hours, which is why I've been waiting. I didn't want to say it right on the second. I wanted to wait and see what was happening. So why the huge time difference between major news outlets and local news? So unlike the canned Parenthood ruse, this time the shooters were all dead.
Yeah.
There were 3 of them, oops, then 2, oops, male and female, then male and female couple with Muslims, but they drove 4 vehicles. I'm like, what? So the guy drove 2 vehicles and the woman drove 2 vehicles. So that looks like a blooper in the storyline to me. That one vehicle. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Trace. I'll carry it after you. Go
okay.
ahead.
One vehicle was a van packed with weapons, which is, for me, a stupid line that sounds great, because after all, how can the original 3 people carry enough weapons on them to pack a van? But it works for the ooh-ah factor, I guess, and is subject to change. Update. It did. Read on. And if there were 4 vehicles involved, why did all 3 shooters leave in 1 vehicle? Long guns were used this time. Oops. Changed. Now assault rifles. Oops. Changed. Handguns. To provide a way for the government to go after hunting rifles. And you can only carry 2 long guns. I'm sorry, and that's all you can carry. They're long guns, they're big, they're heavy, that's all you get. So, they're heavy, and I challenge anyone to shoot with more than 1 extra strapped across the back. I've never seen that done with long rifles. So this means that the van was packed with weapons story was written by what I like to call an idiot.
Yeah.
But the storyline fading and changing as the AI corrects it. I am not making the AI thing up, guys. It's doing this.
No, you're not. You're not making it up.
I'm really not. Now, the SWAT teams, we got to talk about the SWAT team, was training nearby. This part has stayed the same. When the call came in of multiple shots fired just before 11 a.m. local time, Lieutenant Richard Lawhead told KTLA. Now they were already suited up, ready to roll, allowing for rapid response time. The shooting supposedly took place at a party for disabled people who were predominantly autistic. So the storyline is shooters shoot disabled autistic children. Double sympathy whack there. Another near promise that this is all a setup. People are skeptical, and here are a few quotes from popular forums. So, a Christmas party, December 2nd, 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, right. Guy leaves, arms up, puts on tactical gear that he just happens to have at home, then gets 2 friends, arms them, they all dress in identical costume like they're going to, I don't know, a party, but they all have the identical tactical gear, and they return and chew up the place. Bam. Even though this, I know how I say it, but this crap is stupid. It's unbelievable.
It is, Tracey.
So now, I get home and go ahead, sweetie.
If you allow me, just
Please.
for a second,
Please.
and then I'll let you fall back in on this.
Okay.
I was watching the thing of the investigators when they were at Mr. Farouk's house. Okay. Basically, there were no no fingerprint, powder anywhere. There was no police tape anywhere whatsoever, and they were messing up anything that might have been any kind of evidence. But the biggest problem that I saw was they were allowing neighbors to come in and take stuff.
Yes. And the first thing that came out was on CNN, not the local one. CNN, there was 3 guys. Then CNN had the raid on television. What have I told you people before? If it's on CNN, it is part of the cabal, it is part of the cable, it is part of the canon and Law and Order. It works for those guys. So, picture me, I'm really pissed off. I go home and I call 2 buddies, and we're gonna have a dress up party. And we don our matching gear and say, come on, let's go do a mass shooting. Does that seem likely? Now pretend I was a guy. And go home and get 2 buddies. We're going to get a bar. We're going to get some vans. And there was 4 vans. Even if it was 3 white guys, who was driving the 4th van?
Yeah.
Is it magic? It's a magic van.
Magic or a ghost, huh?
Is it a magic school bus? Because it's interesting, because there was a police training event. I'm making little quotey things with my fingers. Going on close by, making little quotey things with my fingers again. So the response time was very fast.
Incredibly quick.
Convenient. One would literally have to be literally Forrest Gump. Not working brain function, not to see that there's a pattern here. A repeating pattern. Now, they got a bloody nose from the fakeness of the Canned Parenthood show. Thus far, have only used assault rifles and handguns in their shooting. Fakery. So has limited impact on the weapons tyrant's fear. Long rifles, of which the best can penetrate practically anything, while assault rifles are comparative wimps. Long rifles often kick very hard, which is undesirable in combat. If you're trying to stand there and walk through and wipe out a bunch of people. So, where a person goes down a lot easier than bears. So you wouldn't need that. Unless you thought, you know what, we're going to go in there. We've had enough of those bears. We're taking the bears out. So, all this take on things proves to me is that they want all the guns right now, including the deer and the big game rifles.
Get ready, it's coming.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So I think I'm coming to this conclusion. As part of the police training exercise that was going on nearby, 3 police officers were sent to the disabled center to shoot it up, as if it was part of a drill, so the rest of the police could get a surprise call for a mass shooter and respond as if it was a real event. They were dressed in combat gear, such as police are now, left in a black SUV, as such police would. And this is starting to look like the real story here. And to get a Muslim tie-in, they later murdered a Muslim man and his wife as they drove away from their home 4.5 hours later. And the Muslim part is a lie, because those people are Hindu. So Indian.
Yeah.
And you should see that beautiful sari. I'm going to keep looking because it's apparently the AI in charge did not like me looking at this, and as I tried to download it for you, it disappeared and my computer shut down.
Well, it's very interesting, Tracey, because I was supposed to, come on with you. I can't even get on our site right now because something's just keeping me off the computer, period.
Yeah, well, see, I was going to go into this last week, and the AI apparently did not like what I was saying, so, I got that blue spinny thing of death on Skype. They kept
I got that going on right now.
Over and over and over and over. So, here's my conclusion. These people weren't Muslim, but they had to make them Muslim. But it does look like the man was doing something interesting in his job, that maybe he needed to be silenced, and this was just gravy. So, this story is morphing, and it looks like they are attempting to establish the Islamic terror thing, with the key shooter being mad about events, like serving pork while he was doing a health inspection for the state. Wafer thin, what will they think of next? 2 shooters, the only suspects now, are dead, and were shot to death by police in their car. But it kind of looks like they were shot to death by police outside their homes, and the woman was maybe dragged there. Men and women, still dressed in combat gear, fully armed after leaving their home over 4 hours after the shooting. Originally, the woman's name was Tayyip bin Erdogan. Tayyeep bin Ardogan. That's true. And you can see a picture of her and her husband dressed like beautifully. And girls, look at her eyebrows. Tell me that girl is the same girl as they're showing us in the newly Muslim picture.
Right.
Okay? This was the first story. They rescinded that for political relations with Turkey and India, perhaps. So we'll continue with this. And welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Trace Elements Radio, live today with Tracey, of course, and Chief Charles Twodog.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in today, Twodog, because
my honor.
When we talk about this, and I need you here, and you know what, the room's rolling today. I have to say hi to our sister Donna, who's the first show I ever did. Donna was on.
Wow. Oh, see, Donna, good that you're with us.
Maybe tomorrow the story will be a husband and wife elite killing team murders autistic children.
They ain't had one since Bonnie and Clyde, ain't it?
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde, dressed as Muslims, killed a bunch of autistic children because they didn't like the pork. After all, if this is really being handled by a situational AI, as it sure appears to be, the computer might just spew that. If we say it enough times, I bet you it will. I fear there might really be 2 dead people in this one. A state health inspector that needed to be gotten rid of, and whoever was inconveniently with him when they shot up his car or shot him in the house and changed him and dragged him outside or wherever they took him for the beating, because a beating happened.
Let's look at it a little bit more. Let's go a little bit deeper.
Please.
Because it seems to me, especially through the GOP right now, here in America, as far as the Republican Party and other things of that manner, is that's just how do I put it? America's been at war since before it even started. But
yeah,
let's look at it this way. It seems to be a refluxation of race hate.
huge.
Now it's the Muslim.
Huge. They're
It
picking
was
off
the
everybody.
Indian when it started, but now it's the Muslim.
Yes.
Then it was the how I can say this? There's still a war on the black man.
Oh yeah.
So there seems to be this race hate constantly. Now, okay, it's ISIS. Oh my God, it's a Muslim. Let's ban all Muslims from America. How can you do that? It's unconstitutional, considering their constitution. Just saying.
Yeah, 100%. In less than 12 hours after the U.S. dropped 50 tons of weapons to resupply the terrorists in Syria, weapons which included, and this is confirmed, advanced anti-aircraft missiles, the Russian embassy was shelled right in the middle of a large demonstration by Syrians in support of Russia. Even the U.S. is not saying it was all small weapons, ammunition in that particular delivery. Someone is playing it down. It was a serious drop of serious weapons. And if Russia loses any aircraft because of it, that is really grounds for the sinking of battleships. This is what's going on in the planet. And illegals voting, rumors flying around the web that illegal immigrants are going to be allowed to vote in the next election. That is, according to rumor, going to be allowed via motor voter laws. The entire situation is so messed up, with obvious traitors at many government levels, predominantly the ones who work for big oil and, media.
Ones that work for the man.
The man. And I don't care how pretty our Disney prince is. He is the man. He's been trained since he was born. Even Nixon said that when he was 3 at a party, because Nixon was at...
He'd be the prime minister.
He'd be the prime minister. And yes, he's pretty. And yes, his mother is matey. But do you remember his mom getting the hell away from Trudeau?
He was still raised with the, how I put it, the elite money oil situation. He was raised with them.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how everything I've told you is going on, has gone on. So we're going to meet Mr. and Mrs. Massacre. Because I gotta say it. Yeah. Federal officials were able to tell the Associated Press right away that 4 weapons were used at the regional center shooting. A .223 caliber. Go on.
The funny part about this is that you have, the 3 little letters that go, hey, now you can ask the questions, since we done gave this big thing out, the press conference or whatever. And every question that the reporters ask, oh, we can't say nothing about that, or this, I don't know about that, or this, I don't know, then maybe it's no. It's the word, they wanted people to ask questions, but we can't answer them.
Exactly. And you know what? And we have to deal with this. So apparently 2 superheroes now. They're not calling them superheroes, but superhero-like things happened. Because later we were told this was a couple. They changed her name twice. Okay? So we ran into a couple problems that numerous people, again, witnessed 3 gunmen.
In 4 cars.
And then 2 gunmen. That first, the woman was a small South Asian lady. not tall, athletic white male, because you can see the difference between those two.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Not trying to be racist, but I would know the difference between a little South Asian lady, little Indian lady, all pretty, because you know how they like dressing up. Those people, they got some money, they're gonna dress up. They dress nice. To tall, athletic white male. Kind of different here. Maybe the computer AI, if you're listening to my voice AI, there's a very big difference between little lady and big man.
Yes.
Okay, so as
Very
a family,
different.
there is. So, we need to help the AI out because it's not getting it. So as the family attorney points out, in an interview with CNN, a 90-pound woman, 45 kilograms for, people who use that, not exactly likely candidate for clinically killing numerous colleagues of her husband while carrying a huge, massive assault rifle, an automatic handgun, and a vest full of ammunition magazines, and 3 pipe bombs. So beyond...
It'd be hard for her to walk.
Right? So beyond these mere physical feats of superhuman strength, which apparently happened this time, Malik also apparently possessed multitasking superpowers. It was, we're told, she who first identified herself and her husband as perpetrators by affiliating herself via the infamous newly created Facebook post, which we've seen over and over and over again, with Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the alleged leader of ISIS, Islamic State, which we know that the real leader of that is Barack Hussein Obama. Kind of. He's not really involved in that. He just sits there and, so you can hate him. Anyway. Investigators, like the public, learned about this claim of responsibility through the regular media outlets, which cited a Facebook executive speaking on the condition of anonymity because this person was not allowed under corporate policy to be quoted by name. This, making little quotey signs, executive claimed that Malik published a Facebook post under an alias account at 11 a.m. So during the attack, then deleted her own message because they changed her name again. We'll never be able to verify any of this because the executive said the account was then immediately removed by Facebook, even though social media site could not have immediately known that Malik was a real person behind an alias account, nor that she was associated with a shooting. Malik was only publicly named as the second shooter many hours later following the gun battle on the avenue. So speaking of social media, yet another or yet more anonymous officials also reported that the suspect scrubbed their regular social media accounts prior to the attack. Also, that the police said after entering the young couple's apartment, they found the couple's cell phones and computers and other electronics destroyed. Magic once again. I'm thinking this is another one of the Marvel comic episodes that I've been telling you guys about, that magic happened and somebody used a death ray and okay, so it seems strange that they would remove all the digital traces of their involvement in a crime, only to claim responsibility for it a couple hours later, albeit in a strange manner. And apparently they were wiping it out while they were doing the crime. If that's not confusing enough,
That is. Because here's the situation. If I'm going to do the crime and I'm going to get rid of the information.
Yes.
If I'm going to get rid of the information, you think I'm going to tell you I did it?
Well, apparently when you're carrying really heavy stuff and using your own powers of your mind to wipe stuff and be in two places at once, you get confused.
Yes.
Do we want to tell them or do we not want to tell them? Okay, honey, let's tell them. So, more law enforcement officials speaking to the press on condition of anonymity, which always bothers me, in the immediate aftermath of the massacre, stated that Farouk had recently been in touch by phone and through social media with more than one international terrorist group. Now, I don't know if he actually called the IRS or what, but just these names. So, namely, Al-Qaeda in Syria or Al-Nusra, and Al-Shabaab or Al-Qaeda in Somalia, because that came out later. So, in addition to the small arsenal investigators found in the shot-up black SUV, they also claimed that they discovered that other huge arsenal, including... See, it just changed in front of my eyes. I said 6,000 rounds, didn't I? Like less than an hour ago?
Yeah, it's now up to something like 16,000, 1,600, 16 something.
And on my page it says 5,000. And it just changed because I just read from there. But anyway, a dozen pipe bombs, hundreds of tools for making IEDs now, were at the Redlands home. This was presumably all carted away by the time the reporters for national and international media entered the house, broadcast its contents there, because the weapons were not there.
Oh, that also reminds me too, Tracy. How can two dead individuals actually need a lawyer?
Yeah, but see, superpowers again. You're forgetting the superpowers. Okay, so backstory. The press invasion, strange episode. British Sunday Times journalist, quote, 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 that you can't ever find because his name has never been associated with British Sunday Times, but we'll say okay because I'm apparently an idiot as well, so I'm going to just say it. He claimed he entered by removing some of the boarding erected by the police with the elderly landlord's permission, who was with him when he did this. A swarm of press hounds followed him inside. The landlord's story is that he was unable to prevent reporters from rushing him and entering the apartment. Apparently, the reporters knocked him out of the way. There was apparently no law enforcement in sight either, prior to the press somehow getting into the apartment, and the landlord was subsequently escorted. He was escorted from the premises in an unmarked car. He was the one that was dragged away, not the guys, not the reporters. So as the reporters did live TV reports inside an apartment and tweeted updates and photographs on their social media feeds, something erupted over ethics, perhaps, of entering the couple's apartment in this way, with reporters being accused of ransacking the apartment. However, it appears that they took photographs and video footage of the apartment as they found it. The family photos aren't on the bathroom sink because the journalists rifled through boxes, placed them beside the bathroom sink. But what the journalist said is that they were there before they got in there. that they didn't rifle through things. Things were rifled magically by the superpowers, once again, before they got there. So we're left with another puzzling question. Why would the perpetrators meticulously remove all digital traces of their involvement in a supercrime, only to leave ID cards and pictures on a coffee table, credit card bills on a counter, Korans on the bed, and family photos in the bathroom sink? One tempting answer is that the apartment scene was arranged in this manner. The media allowed in, against protocol, any protocol ever done, to broadcast it to the world and to fill out murderous couples' backstory. Bonnie and Clyde. Or,
and of course,
go ahead.
And of course, here in America on CNN, they had to. Oh my God, the prayer beads.
Prayer beads, yes, had to be prayer beads. Did you see Natural Born Killers?
Yeah.
Okay, so Natural Born Killers. Little is known of this Saudi wife, because apparently she's Saudi now. But the first picture, she looked like really pretty Indian lady. They both looked Hindu. You know those beautiful outfits they wear for the weddings?
Yeah.
You know, they party for 3 days. So
gorgeous.
That's how they looked. And he was dressed nice. Like that too. But
yeah,
Syed could not have been more integrated American if he was caught fleeing the scene while stuffing his face with apple pie and waving stars and stripes. American citizen, born in Chicago, interestingly enough, Farouk was a 5-year full-time city employee and health and safety inspector of the San Bernardino County Division Environmental Health Services, $80,000 salary, studying towards a master's degree. Farouk's brother served in the U.S. Navy, 2003-2007. Farouk's family said they saw him on a previous Sunday for a family meal. Married about 1 year to his newly alleged accomplice, Farouk dropped...
6-month-old baby too, isn't it?
Yeah. Farouk dropped their 6-month-old daughter off at his mother's place in that morning. All of which means, as one family attorney puts it, Farouk was living the American dream. Like, he wasn't trying to attain it. He had it.
He had it.
He had it. Brand new baby.
Yes.
Beautiful home. Beautiful wife. Happy. Hung out with family.
Child.
So there was a regular, successful life as anyone could muster in sunny Southern California these days. Alleged shooter's family doesn't understand how this couple could be involved at all. Couches, TV, kitchen, play area, treadmill to run. He liked to work on cars. It was his hobby to go and buy a used car, fix it up. He loved buying old Mustangs, fixing them, selling them. Normal guy. Person that goes to work, comes home, plays with his kid, eats dinner, sleeps, happy. Now walks the family attorney, equally stumped, describing their shared amazement with the newly made up information that the investigators and about the couple's involvement when it came on CNN, because they knew nothing. The attorneys knew nothing until they saw it on CNN. And even the FBI is puzzled with Director James Comey saying there's much about this that doesn't make sense. Even to those of us who do this for a living. Do what? Mr. FBI? Make up crime scenes? Because that sounds like that's what he said.
That's what it sounds like, Tracey.
Okay, so the narrative now goes, there's a Christmas party, conference room. He stormed out after a dispute about pork. His wife wasn't come. His wife wasn't there. But he went and got his wife. They both changed into military tactical gear and ammo, magazines, and carrying assault rifles, and they spun around, probably in a phone booth, and came back as a super team.
Superman and Supergirl.
That's right. Natural born killers. Crazy people. So we're looking at somebody who was seriously disgruntled about the pork. He did not enjoy this meal, obviously.
Obviously not.
Who impulsively took revenge on his colleagues over something that was so bad that you have to go get your wife, who wasn't feeling well, which sometimes happens around 6 months, because she was trying to wean the baby off breastfeeding. Now, I just got that from a tweet, which has now disappeared. You can't see it anymore, so I'm telling you I saw it. Anyway, extremely unlikely, because there is a consensus about the nature of this attack, indicating a high degree of planning and sophistication, at least, if it did happen. So here's the fallout. In the immediate aftermath of these events, before investigators formally announced they would widen possible motives to Islamic terrorism, see, if I say it in a light and airy voice, I confuse the AI, and she thinks I'm talking about cookies. So, she does. It seriously, it's a thing. So, gun control measures went up before Congress. While this was all going on, a law to ban gun sales to people on the U.S. government no-fly terror list or watch list, and a law to expand background checks on gun sales. Both measures failed, narrowly. Meanwhile, other authority figures are calling for people to arm themselves. A new 24/7 gun shopping channel was launched. Even the event dominated the headlines, even as it did. Predictably, gun sales have increased a lot. So if they really don't want you to have guns, they would not do this. They want you to have guns. They do. They want you to be mad. They are trying to confuse you guys. This is a play. They are playing you. You got served. Anyone who went out and got some guns.
Pick the gun up. What they want.
Yeah, they do. They want you to kill each other. They are trying to trigger you. So note that the two narratives about such events, Islamic terror, lone gun posto, are combined in this one.
Right.
A massacre narrative, which we're talking about. So Farouk is at once loner, disgruntled employee, too much access to guns, bearded jihadist with connections to avowed enemies of freedom, United States haters. They hate liberal Democrats like Hillary Clinton. She's now using the gun control narrative. Her conservative Republican counterparts are all blame those Muslims. Vice versa. You're free to pick and choose. It's a free country, after all. Free planet.
Well, you know,
but you're being
Democrat,
played.
Republican, you have no choice. They're the same.
Demons
If
versus
you think about
reptiles. Choose.
Definitely.
You know, if you pick the lesser of two evils, that does not make one not evil. They're the same
They
evil.
both are.
They're the same evil. You had to attack civilians, people, women, children, innocent people, unknown people, far removed from any political game. The reason is quite simple: to force the public to turn to the state to ask for more security. The common denominator here, which I've told you about over and over, and I will continue telling you about this, is fear. Fear that only the authorities can help you with. You need daddy to step in there, because there's a global daddy issues going on right now. If we go through the terrorists, which we're going to go through again, the purpose is to shock people, Westerners in particular, in general, who follow this globally mediatized event, in order to maintain strategy of tension, promote a generalized anxiety, insecurity, so that the powers that are not gone, you have not won, it is not over, they are here, can continue with their criminality, and you won't stop them. And as far as the times that we've been doing radio, they have not been stopped. It is just, let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
The vandalism against abortion clinics. How about George Tiller's murder? The recent Colorado Planned Parenthood murder. It's all glued, locked, shut on women's clinics. There's another, based on court documents submitted by ex-partners of people who commit these things. Forthcoming: male rage, misogyny, religion. Religions that in general aren't Muslim. They're not. So, we know people are being triggered by rage and religion. Oddly, or not, both the rage and religion are focused on women. Not surprisingly, but critically, they are finally mobilized by relentless, violent, misogynistic rhetoric of the right-wing nut jobs. I was going to say a bad word. Read my mind. Who are worldwide terrorizing, terrifyingly mainstream Fox Media, every Republican candidate, especially presidential. We are seeing something, and it's going to get worse. Here is the formula, and it's kind of perversely brilliant. The formula is this: 1. A public figure with access to airwaves or pulpit demonizes a person or a group of persons. Now, no, I'm talking about everywhere, everyone, everything. Wherever you are, I'm talking about your country. Okay, number 2, and I have a list. You know, I love lists. Okay, number 2. With repetition, the targeted person or group is gradually dehumanized, depicted as loathsome, dangerous, arousing a combustible combination of fear and moral disgust. You can't just be afraid of them. You need to hate them. So, number 3, violent images, repeated atrocities, metaphors, jokes about violence, analogies to the past, and purges against their reviled groups. Use of righteous religious language. All of these typically stop just short of explicit call to arms. Although There are some people who have already taken up that call and say that that's killed them. Buy more guns. That's worked. This has worked. So, number 4, when the violence erupts, the public figures who have incited the violence condemn it, claiming no one could possibly have foreseen this tragedy. The use of words like Nazi, genocide, Holocaust, slavery are repeated over and over and over again, and in addition to the trigger words, killing, murder, dismemberment, pumpkin. You'll laugh. Pumpkin's one of the words. There are ridiculous things being used right now. Like February. And, prove me wrong. Every February, at least in the last 20 years, if we can believe anything we read, a plane always goes down. Always a plane goes down. It's to trigger something. It's to trigger you probably buying a great sweater the next year. You'll see the colors on this. They did it really good with Paris, which is the same as the U.S. colors. I'm going to have to do the whole numbers game on Thursday about this because you can't, it's too obvious. So, genocide awareness protection. It is a powerful way to compel thought and dialogue. It works. They know it. It absolutely triggers people.
Mind control.
It's mind control. It's working. This is mindless repetition. This is what's going on. It's going on in Canada. It's going on in the United States. It's going on in Mexico. It's going on worldwide. Recent vivid displays of stochastic terrorism, mindless, relentless repetition of jihad, terrorists hiding behind niqabs at citizens' ceremonies, backfiring spectacularly sometimes, but the results always result in violence.
Yes.
And terrorism for and against Muslims worldwide. If you've watched, again, a single episode of Criminal Minds, read a news story about serial killers, you know who they are. Because those people are being triggered. And it's easy to get men mad now. We love you very much. But it's 100% very easy, especially in the United States, to get white men angry. Because they're being targeted specifically. And there's weapons being used against you. They can tap into, they can see you whether the little light is on or not, looking into your computer. This is not fantasy. These things are real. People are being triggered 100% on a daily basis to react. If you do not react, then you're okay. If you find yourself getting mad about a group in general, and you do something violent, they got you. I mean, violent, even if you write something nasty on a wall, they got you. And they're going to keep you like that for later.
Right.
They're going to. 100%.
I mean, right now in America, Muslim has become the new Indian.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
100%. They want you involved in their bloodletting. They want you to not just sacrifice your children. They want you to feel it. They want you to be it. That's why there's all these Nazi shows going on. That's why that new... Oh, and I forgot the name of it. You guys know the one I'm talking about. It's a TV show talking about if the Nazis won, could put swastikas in New York with all those Jewish people, and no one said, That could be a problem. That's rude. But it's rude. It's mean. It's hurtful.
I can say this to add to that, Tracy, just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to add, especially like World War II,
Yes.
You get these Americans bashing Indians, and they're bashing everything else but that. Only thing I can say to you, you're not speaking German here or Japanese, are you? Unless you're German or Japanese that live in America, which that's great. That's great. But only thing I can say is, I hope you know how to speak Comanche and Navajo, because if it wasn't for the code talkers, you might be.
Just
saying.
We need to listen to this. Governments need to stop thinking about refugee camps as temporary places. People listening right now need to stop thinking of refugee camps as terrorist places. Because one of the world's leading authorities on humanitarian aid said this is a city of tomorrow. I swear you not. Kleinschmidt of Europe's rapidly expanding refugee camp said, the average stay today in a camp is 17 years. That's a generation. Mm-hmm. In the Middle East, we were building camps, storage facilities for people. But for refugees, we are building a city. This is a city. This is where you're going to live. This is what they want for you. You, wherever you live, wherever you are. Kleinschmidt said that a lack of willingness to recognize camps had become a permanent fixture around this planet, and a failure to provide proper infrastructure leading to unnecessarily stressful conditions. Stressful. Now, Kleinschmidt, 53, worked for 25 years for the United Nations and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, various camps operations worldwide, recently stationed in Zaatari, Jordan, for the world's second largest refugee camp, before leaving to start his own aid consultancy. I think it's Schwitzborg. I think I'm actually close. I don't think I butchered that one. So, this guy believes that the migrants coming to Europe will repopulate parts of Spain, Italy that have been abandoned as people gravitate towards major cities. Many places in Europe are totally deserted because people have moved to other parts, he said. You could put a new population, set up opportunities, develop and trade and work. You could see them as special development zones, which we've heard that word before, used for here. And we talked about the special development zones. They're being opened up in Canada and United States. This is a trigger word, guys, and it's also what they want to do. They're herding us into areas. This word was used by Harper for, they don't want to say reservations, because that's rude. Mm-hmm. Special development zones. But I got this article because we talked about that years ago. Now, which are actually used as a trigger, his words, for an otherwise impoverished, neglected area. Refugees could stimulate the economy all over the world, because Germany has 600,000 job vacancies, requires tens of thousands of new apartments to house workers. Germany is interesting because it's actually seeing this as the beginning of a big economic boost, he explained, building 300,000 affordable apartments a year. Building industry is dreaming of this. creates tons of jobs, even for those who are coming to Germany now. This is a planned event coming to a city near you. How you like them apples?
It's just messed up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like America itself, okay?
Yes.
I mean, you're poor, you're weak,
Yeah.
you're downtrodden, and we'll take care of you.
Yeah, we're going to take care of you. As long as you're the right color.
That didn't happen.
No, it's not going really well.
It's not going to happen, you know what I mean?
No.
But, you know, to America's presidential election, only thing I can tell you, brothers and sisters that live in America, we are in deep crap. If you just listen to everything these people are saying, racist, bigoted BS. Because I've got Muslim friends. They don't want to hurt nothing.
No.
It's a very, you know, peaceful religion, to be honest. But here's my point. Whether it's God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, whoever, as
Great
far
pumpkin.
as the message,
Yes.
the great pumpkin, whoever it's not about the messenger. The point of it is, did you get the message?
Yeah, and I'm not blaming people at this point.
No.
People,
No.
okay, this is what's happened to us. We all know that fluoride is bad for us. But surprisingly, and nobody seems to be mentioning this, people that were drinking the fluoridated water, it used to be 20%. Your water had 20% fluoride in it. You were getting too stupid. So they've knocked it back to 5%. And know that if you are going outside or eating food that's grown in the ground, you can't hide from the fluoride. There's things you can do and take it home, but you're getting fluoride. They've done it to 5% so that you will still be docile, obviously, but not so stupid that you can't use their new technology that they're coming out with. They want you smart enough to hear the trigger words. So, San Bernardino, mass killing or not, it's about more hate directed against people who are the other, the not you. I've talked to you about the stories we have throughout history. They do it in the exact same way. They say that those people are raping babies. They're tearing people, they're tearing body parts, they're eating dogs, they're peeing on a cross or a menorah or whatever religious icon.
Yeah.
They pee on them and they hate you and they say that they hate you. This has been done over and over and over again. They'd like to say they're coming.
It's history repeating itself, Tracey.
Yes.
It started a lot with our people.
Yes.
And that's all nations of our people that eat the dogs and we kill the women and
we're raping. You know, we want to rape the women. Got to remember
all
that one.
this, and it's gone from that way back to now. The trigger word is the main trigger word right now is Muslim.
Yes, but any brand will do. So the magnitude of this horror is meant to be felt for a lifetime by those who have been denied the love and compassion of fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers and husbands and wives and dear ones who have been taken from them. The shock of these murders that are now every 2 days, every 2-3 days, and worldwide, if you look worldwide, it's happening daily, a couple times a day. It's reverberated beyond the inland empire. The entire planet has followed a nightmare in real time, delayed, of course, because they had to set it up. And while those sat glued to their television sets may have not known the victims, they felt the pain and experience from afar loss, insecurity, and the accompanying seeming randomness of a crime. The president...
Now, there was an individual that stated this just a few days ago. I don't understand why he's even bringing this up. And it's still on the Muslim thing, okay? But what this individual said is he doesn't understand why they come about this country, because we settled this country. We never conquered it. And I'm like, what? Who is allowing these fools on public TV? Who is allowing this?
You know, Twodog, I can't respond to that because it would require 3 or 4 really unapproved words.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just going to say nut and leave it at that.
Yeah, it would involve a rooster and probably sucking. But anyway, the president struck the right note when he commented on the frequency, which have been, we're having to endure the news of such acts of terror, and the fact that we can simply not deny or allow mass murders to become the new normal.
Yeah.
There are, as I've noted many times, after the killings in Charleston, more than one mass shooting per day in the United States, and all too often these horrific acts are committed by what we're told are mentally disturbed individuals with access to lethal weapons. Mind-controlled individuals, or government hit squads who actually put in dead bodies after. They're disturbed depending on their color. If not, they're crazy people. Okay, so yes, there are crimes of passion. Others, political intent. Later case, whether it's a church in South Carolina, remember that one? Planned Parenthood, Colorado, an office party in California. We will not take their bad pork anymore. I'm sorry, I had to say it. It's not even funny, but I have to laugh.
You gotta laugh. If you don't, you'll go nuts with this.
There have been too many incidences where supposedly insane people armed with sophisticated weaponry acted out a fantasy, taking lives of plain folks who happened to be in the wrong place in the wrong time. How do you need 3 pieces of ID to get Sudafed?
Really?
And so what do you do in the States? Say, look, I am a crazy mofo, and I'm going to need some bullets.
Okay, here you go.
And that's fine. And that's going to be, okay, that's just fine. Because, remember the little thing I wrote up about the scenario that we keep using over and over again? Fill in the blanks? Well, this fits. These fit. They fit in every country, and whether motivated by delusions of supremacy, lies about the content of a video purporting to sell fetus body parts, or gross distortions of a religion, these crimes are the same. The victims are the same. The shock and loss of security experienced by the rest of us is the same. There's one important difference in this one. They had to pull out the Muslim. The crime spills over to inflict damage on an entire community. After Charleston, there were efforts to have the Confederate flag removed from the state. Wow, that's a fast 2 hours. Okay, I have to thank you guys. I know, right? Okay, tomorrow or Thursday, I will give you the numbers. We'll do the numbers game. Let's play with numbers. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and thank you so much for riding with me, Twodog. Bye for now, everybody.